This is California Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance. We're in Sacramento today, and we are joined by Tom Torlakson. He's the superintendent of public instruction for our state. He is running for re-election. That election will be held in November. Sir, I've had the honor of traveling recently for work to Central and Eastern Europe. And it doesn't matter where I go. If I have a question, I speak in English, and I get a response back. If I'm at Universal Studios or Disneyland or somewhere in Los Angeles or San Francisco and someone speaks in a foreign language to an American, no can't help. It's just not, we're not there. It's embarrassing, kind of. What's going on?
Yeah, it's not right, and our students need to be prepared to live and work and thrive in a global economy. So knowing two languages, the rest of the world, as you say, Europe and modern countries throughout Asia.
Everyone speaks two languages, if not three.
Yeah, if not three. So we want to do everything we can to encourage students to take courses and learn two languages or three, and have created a seal of biliteracy, which we put on high school diplomas to honor students who've taken the time to learn that second language.
Let me ask you though, I'm not pretending I'm the best parent, but I have made a decision with my wife that we are going to raise our children to speak Spanish. We're not of Latino descent, but we just feel as if it's important. We have a teacher come to the home, and that's our thing. Our friends look at us like we're crazy. Like, what are you doing? You know, why do you need to do this? My point in telling you that is it just doesn't seem to be kind of a zeitgeist, you know, within the culture of the desire to have our kids learn a second language. How do we change that? How do we get Californians, Americans to realize the dramatic benefits of bilingualism?
And it is, again, huge benefits, huge dividends to just knowing not only the language, but a people, their culture, their way of thinking, so that we can work with them in the global economy and in international relations. So I think part of it is having these programs like the Seal of Biliteracy. We started with 10,000 students who earned that honor 2 years ago. Now it's 24,000. I'm running into parents up and down the state that want their students, like you, Brad.
Amen.
They want their students to be proficient in two languages, and they enroll their students in, dual immersion classes.
That is, dual immersion is getting to be pretty popular. Yeah, that's a great program. I wish my daughters could have done it. We didn't get in, whatever. Do you see those expanding?
Absolutely. I see an appetite for that, and parents seeing that their students, to fit into the global economy and be competitive in the job market, must learn two languages.
And I have to tell you, I'm trying to learn Spanish now. I spoke French, it's so-so. It's tough learning a language in your 40s. It is just not easy. It's so much easier to learn as a child in your teens. The benefits are so dramatic, and the ease with which it is to learn that language. Tell us more about the program. How does a high school graduate get that seal of biliteracy?
They need to take a course sequence in the language. They need to pass a proficiency test. So there's a certain standard that tests whether you truly are proficient in reading, in writing, in speaking in that language, maybe even dreaming in that language. But the idea is
that's when I knew I was speaking French well.
Right,
was when I started dreaming. Yeah, it's not so much anymore. Yeah. At the same time, obviously, I think it's a benefit for Californians to speak Spanish. But still, when you go to a local high school, you'll see Spanish and French, maybe German, maybe Chinese, maybe Japanese. It seems like we're still kind of in this 20th century Spanish and French. You know, look, we love our French, but where can we speak French on the continent other than Montreal and maybe Louisiana? You know, what about Chinese, Japanese, Korean?
Well, I think there again is a trend in the right direction to parents wanting their students to be proficient in English and a language from Asia. And I've visited some of the schools that are teaching Chinese, and those students are thriving. They're also looking at opportunities to travel, do exchanges with students in China.
Even Arabic. I mean, so many
Farsi,
languages, whatever it is. Okay, for our viewers on HLN, thank you for joining us. For our other viewers, we'll be right back with the superintendent. Sir, I want to speak with you about a report that you spearheaded with the Chief Justice of the California Supreme Court. That report is called Revitalizing K-12 Civic Learning in California, a Blueprint for Action. Talk to us about the genesis of this report and how it finally was issued.
Well, the genesis comes from a worry that civics has been squeezed out of the curriculum. It hasn't had the emphasis that it deserves to have. And now we have an opportunity with Common Core and integrating all learning, science and history and culture and math to the real world, to jobs and experiences in the real world. And we want our students to be active participants in our democracy. And look at the turnout. The election turnouts have been very low. We want to instill in our students a sense of their rights and responsibilities and the power they have. If they are informed, they have power to change things, to make the world better, their neighborhood, their community.
So do give us a sense, what exactly does civics mean?
Civics means understanding the levers of government, how you can make change. If it's in a school area, you have an elected school board member, usually 5. Usually a city, it's an elected city council, usually 5, with one of them being the mayor. So the idea is, where do you go to solve certain problems or make change, and how do you get informed accurately what a candidate says and what a candidate will do, what issues are. We have a complicated direct democracy system in California with these initiatives. You just can't sit down really and read the title and understand what that measure is going to do. So our goal is to have students be thinkers. This is part of the critical thinking that goes with Common Core.
But it seems like, I think about my daughters, forgive me, it's just that's my anecdote, that they had a couple mock elections, and that was fine when they were in elementary school. They're now entering 5th, entering 7th. But it doesn't, I feel like they hit government around 7th, 6th, 7th. I don't feel like they get much of government before that. They get the states in 5th maybe. Am I right?
Well, what we see where it's working best, and the good examples are sort of hands-on projects where students may want to reduce energy usage, and they do a project, and they go lobby the city council or the school board to get solar power equipment into that school.
I actually recently interviewed a bunch of students from the Windward School, where my daughter will be going in 7th grade, and they carried a bill with Assemblyman Ian Calderon that would have, I don't know, it dealt with plumped chickens and the plumping process. Unfortunately, it died in a probes, but that's another conversation. But they got to testify in Sacramento before the Education Committee. That's huge.
And seeing young people go to a city council meeting or a school board meeting or the county board of supervisors, they learn from that experience, and it also gives them poise and leadership skills. I participated. There's Model UN, mock elections.
I did Model UN in college, though, not in high school.
But it was meaningful, wasn't it?
Extremely. Tell us about what happened when you were a kid. Was it in Daly City?
Daly City.
I want to hear what happened. How old were you?
I was 17.
17, so senior. You were senior?
Yep, senior.
So what happened to a young Tom Torlakson at the age of 17?
A service club, the Kiwanis Club, put on a youth in government, and I became the mayor of the city of Daly City for a 2-week period. We had our own agenda, but I was able to job shadow the real mayor, who happened to be a coach at our high school.
That worked out well.
High.
Right.
And so I just learned a lot from this gentleman who'd been serving for like 30 years as mayor, and he had poise and he had compassion and he listened. And I became convinced I could make a difference. That's one of the things we want our students to understand. They can make a difference.
I have a strange memory. I was that kid who loved government. And I remember when I was in maybe 3rd or 4th grade, I went to a librarian and I said, "Do you have a book on the Speaker of the House?" I was that kid. And she thought it was like a horror novel or something. Now, look, I understand. Who knows who that librarian was? But there is that kind of lack of involvement, engagement, understanding. The librarian should have known what the Speaker of the House was. But she didn't. God bless her. It's many years ago. And what you're looking to is to kind of create a framework whereby the whole educational community is feeling engaged.
Exactly. And it will take some professional development, some training of teachers to bring it back and to make it relevant and current. But many teachers go look at the news on TV or on Facebook, check it out on the internet, and then come into class and let's have a discussion of current events. With
LCFF giving more discretion to districts, but yet Common Core creating standards, you're kind of in it's an interesting time to inject this into the conversation. How do you inject it in such a way that you incentivize schools to adopt?
Again, I think we put it out there of the value and the importance of it. We are going to have our task force members fanning out across the state to encourage superintendents and school boards to make this a priority and to use the opportunity again to connect learning in the classroom to the real world.
He is Tom Torlakson. He was mayor of Daly City for 1 week in I don't know what. He is now superintendent of public instruction in California. I'm Brad Pomerance. It's California Edition.